We will also hear from Daniela Andrade, and she is from the Carolina Migrant Network, and Jose Hernandez Perez of the Latin American Coalition. They are leaders here in East Charlotte. Dr. Copeland?
Good morning. I do greet you on behalf of the North Carolina Council of Churches, which is actually 19 denominations in this state, in big cities like Charlotte and small crossroads all across North Carolina that most of us have probably never heard of. At the North Carolina Council of Churches, we don't pretend to be objective. We don't pretend to represent a variety of opinions. We refract the issues of the day through the prophetic voice of the Old Testament and the gospel proclamation of the New Testament. And as one personally baptized and confirmed into the Christian faith, my allegiance is first and foremost to that place. And from that place, the notion of immigration is firmly framed as a call to hospitality. Hospitality. So when the forces of the world conspire to harm the ones we are called to show hospitality to, then Christians are expected to protect them. As you all know, or you probably wouldn't be in this sanctuary today, on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025, armed immigration and customs enforcement agents staged an operation on the property of a church in Charlotte during preschool pickup and drop-off. A church whose denomination happens to be a member of the North Carolina Council of Churches. And while no one was detained and the agents eventually departed without incident, their presence on sacred ground disrupted the peace. It created fear among the staff and the children, the families, the congregants. And here's the thing, it wasn't just in that place that fear was instilled, but sacred places all across North Carolina now worry. Can that happen to us? Will they do that here on our space? The chilling effect is, well, downright chilling. We can feel it in our bones. ICE enforcement activity on sacred property interferes with the Christian call to welcome the stranger, serve our neighbors, and carry out the ministries that are central to our faith. If ICE needs a staging ground, and I would argue they don't, then they need to do it somewhere else. The places where people come to worship, pray, study, and live out the tenets of their faith should be unavailable for this kind of posturing. Furthermore, these places are recognized by people everywhere as sacred spaces. Spaces where the hurting find healing, the hungry are fed, and families, regardless of their immigration status, because friends, you can put this in the record, we don't card at the door. So regardless of their immigration status, they can come here seeking peace. The North Carolina Council of Churches and all of our 19 denominational members remain steadfast in our call to protect the integrity of these spaces, the dignity of every single person who walks through those doors. The pledge only seems extraordinary because our culture has created a narrative of scarcity and danger in a world actually filled with abundance and with grace. And the fake news that only white people who immigrated here from Western Europe, or lately I hear also from South Africa, that only those people can be trusted, conveniently leaves out the truth that those early European immigrants perpetrated genocide against those who welcomed them and enslaved people from another continent to compound their wealth. The council and our members are working intentionally to foster hospitality for immigrants and, when necessary, protection for those who have been wrongly called dangerous by those who are actually dangerous because of their disregard for human rights, constitutional rights, and due process. And we do this, friends, because these people are our neighbors. They live on the streets we live on. They work in the businesses we work in. They play in the parks where we play. We know them. They are not statistics. They are not dangerous. They are not strangers. But here's the thing. even if they were strangers, even if they were people of faith hailing from traditions well beyond those represented by the North Carolina Council of Churches, have clear guidelines about behavior towards strangers who come to our neighborhoods in search of a new life. Here's one that might sound familiar to some of you from the book of Leviticus. When an immigrant resides with you in your land, you shall not oppress the immigrant. The immigrant who resides with you shall be to you, wait for it, as the citizen among you. You shall love the immigrant as yourself, for you were immigrants in the land of Egypt. Some of us know that old story. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were immigrants in the country where they first settled. They prospered in that place. They contributed to the society. But eventually their descendants were forced to immigrate yet again to Egypt because of a famine. You know, people leave their homes not because they're bored, but they leave because they're dying there. There's no food there. There's violence there. Well, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob left because of a famine. And you've probably heard of Moses, who eventually led those descendants out of Egypt because things got bad there. They immigrated to a new place, and eventually they became the people in charge of that place. Sort of like people here in this place, people who look like me, in charge. And once we are in charge, God reminds us, welcome the strangers. Show hospitality to the immigrants, because you know what it feels like, because you know the difference between welcomed and unwelcomed. Welcoming the stranger remains part of the Christian code of conduct to this very day. There's another famous person who was born in that faith tradition, and his parents fled their home because someone was trying to kill their baby. From Matthew, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up and take the child Jesus and his mother and flee to Egypt and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." So Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and went to Egypt, and he remained there until the death of Herod. Jesus was an asylum seeker. A child whose family crossed the border without proper documentation also makes him a dreamer. Obviously, his family received hospitality because, well, we're standing here talking about him. We know who he is. He didn't drown in a flimsy boat or die of dehydration in the desert. His life and teachings, his death and resurrection, bear witness to God's promises to humanity. Now, friends, just imagine if Abraham, Moses, or Jesus had been treated the way we are treating those seeking safety and well-being among us, well, where would we be today? Our immigrant neighbors work among us. They participate in our economy. They hope for a better future for their descendants, just as Abraham hoped for, just as Jesus' parents hoped for, and frankly, just as my own ancestors hoped for when they came from Ireland in 1756. May we all be so kind to our neighbors as those who also welcomed Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniela Andrade, and I'm the communications spokesperson and communications lead for Carolina Migrant Network. We're a nonprofit organization based here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're the only nonprofit in the Carolinas to provide free legal representation for people in removal proceedings and in immigration detention facilities. Our organizing department, Comunidad Colectiva, offers on-the-ground resources, educational tools, and real-time alerts to inform community members in case of ICE enforcement. Our hotline allows communities to safely report suspicious ICE activities and solicit support in the event of a loved one being detained by immigration agents. This month has been challenging and heartbreaking for many of us. From May 12th through May 17th, 2025, Charlotte, Monroe, Kannapolis, and Concord have experienced heightened immigration enforcement as part of a regional operation targeting Charlotte and Atlanta. We have received, at Carolina Migrant Network and Comunidad Colectiva, we have received a total of 133 calls asking for help, averaging a call of one call per 45 minutes, day and night. That's a 4,000 increase from the normal volume of calls. This number does not include the various direct messages, social media messages, text messages, and other messages that have been sent through our hotline. Every North Carolinian should be alarmed that our neighbors are getting abducted by ICE in an operation that appears to be both indiscriminatory and discriminatory. We know that ICE will continue their anti-immigrant smear campaigns, calling anyone they handcuff as a criminal and assuming that the public and the media won't ask questions. We also know that we have spoken to family members of people that were kidnapped by ICE who have citizen children, workers who seem to be simply targeted because they were driving the wrong kind of van, or parents who were near school. But even in the face of this cruelty, we will not back down. It is up to our community and our elected officials to refuse to accept ICE's claims as face value, to question their tactics and the dangers of this kinds of stunts to our community, and to show up for our neighbors whose lives have been reshaped by the threat of reality of family separation. As Carolina Migrant Network, we will continue to organize, defend, fight for the safety and dignity of every member of our community, because more than now than ever, we need to step up. Thank you.
Hello, I am Jose Hernandez Paris. I'm the Executive Director of the Latin American Coalition here in Charlotte. We help our community with many programs to empower them and to assist them and continue to be important and contributive part of this country. When we were thinking about today, something came up in my mind, which was the preamble to the U.S. Constitution. Because I came to this country when I was 13 years old, and I love this country. And to think of what's happening right now, I never thought that what's happening is happening. It's the unthinkable. And one of the first things I learned as a migrant child was the U.S. Constitution. And one of the things that I learned is that the preamble starts with "we the people." Not they the people, not us the people, but we the people. And as I think about that, I think of the fact that we are attacking American children. Just recently with what happened with the preschool, which is very personal because my own granddaughter went to the preschool. And so I know the families and I know the staff that works there. And to put myself in a position, if anybody to put themselves in a position of a child in a pre-K, looking at patrol cars, people with bulletproof vests, people with badges, with guns, when you're just trying to go to school at that age and trying to understand the world at that moment and see the parents being questioned. And it's an example of what's happening not only at the preschool or what happened at the preschool, but what's happening in many of our neighborhoods. The campaigns of terror of vans being parked outside neighborhoods, which are targeting migrant communities. Just the fact that they want to make sure that we know that no one's safe anywhere, at any space. At the coalition, every day we're dealing with that as we're providing services to our community, thinking if they're willing to go to a house of faith, to a place that previously was considered a sanctuary, imagine places where are even more vulnerable when we know our community is present. But we have made a decision, and it's not to back down, it's not to walk away, it's to be there for our community, to be there present. And we rely on our allies, we rely on the rest of the community to support and to voice their concerns and to voice their support for us. Many of us are limited on what we can say because unfortunately nowadays the unthinkable is happening, which is that we are afraid to speak up. And if we speak up, something that you say can turn you into a target. And I never thought that I would see that in this country that I've grown to love and to be part of me, And on the other side, just to finalize, I put myself in the shoes of those agents who, how do you prepare for something like this, right? We're going to go to this previously protected space for children, and we're going to take 11 cars and all these people. How do you prepare to go to a place with their children? And the only answer I can come up to that is the humanizing of people to a point where they're no longer people. And you use terminologies like criminals in order to criminalize communities, as it has happened in the past, so that you are able to function in this way and criminalize someone like a child. And then, as an immigrant myself, when I look at the comments online and see people actually defending this, makes me aware that this has not only affected those in enforcement, but has permeated the community. And so it's so important that those of us who value humanity, who value Christian values and other values of faith, for open arms in the history of migrants, as it has been highlighted today, that we speak up and that we're all supporting each other. I really want to thank the North Carolina Council of Churches, and particularly the Methodist Church, for taking a stand and for speaking up. Also, I know we have some elected officials here today, and I'm so grateful to see an elected official finally speaking up and saying what we need to say, but some of us are afraid to say because of becoming a target, whether you've been here in these 47 years and you became a U.S. citizen 37 years ago. Now it threatens your own survival when you have children that were born here as well. But I just want to thank everyone for being here and for allowing us to speak. And thank you so much.
So as this press conference concludes, I would like to encourage you to eat lunch here along Central Avenue. I go to Three Amigos regularly. They have some of the best mole sauce in Charlotte. I walk to Manalo's Bakery at least once a week or more. I eat at El Pogrecito because I love their pupusas, and I love all of the wonderful women who work there. I would ask that you all join me in committing to spending money each week in an immigrant corridor, purchasing things made by immigrant hands. We will not have a question and answer here at the pulpit, but the speakers will be available in the area below the altar or in the narthex in the entrance to the sanctuary. And thank you again so very much for coming today. Thank you.